What's going on? It's Icthelios, and we're back with the next part of pushing through on this new account for Black Desert Online. We are tackling the Calpheon main story quest now and pushing further with our character progression. So, just to play a little catch up with what we've been doing so far, is we have gotten some stones from the first few quests for Calpheon, and we've already went and pushed our armor up to +5 for the next part in our season pass progression, which we'll go ahead and claim now. We are also pushing up towards level 40, and we're going to keep working on building up more pieces of gear. And as of right now, we have a few stones left. We'll probably start working on our gloves or helmet next. And once we start getting some more weapon stones, we'll start building up our talisman as well. But as of right now, we're just going to keep working on the quest line. We're currently almost finished with stomping around the herd, or progression stomp herd around the world. So we'll get a couple more stones at the end of it all. And then we should continue all the way up until about just before right here, the qualities of a god, which is when we'll start getting towards the Mediah region. And that'll also, once we get to Mediah, that's when we'll really start finishing up our Naru gear and probably be close to getting some Tuvala pieces. So we'll go ahead and just start working through these quests as we can, and if there's anything important or of interest to note, or crossroads that will be more to our playstyle that we're going forward as combat, we will go ahead and do those. But with that said, we'll go ahead and get started with this, and we will catch up with you all shortly. Alright, so something new we're going to be doing with the Calpheon series and probably going forward is, since we are a more combat-focused adventure, and we're going to be focusing primarily on like the combat of the game, we're going to go ahead and start. I thought it'd be a fun little idea if we just actually started fighting the bosses, but trying to fight the bosses in a way that we can kind of just show off the class and some of the fun of the combat system. So what we're going to do is turn off the UI. We will walk up, interact, to go ahead and investigate this portal, and we will fight our next boss, which is the Gerudo. Alright, and just like that. So, just to kind of show where we're at gear-wise, with all the stones we've gotten so far from just the quest, we've almost +5'd all the gear, and we currently have +6, +8 for our weapons. So we'll keep moving forward and see where we go once we are at the next boss. Alright, so we are currently still working on the Calpheon quest line. Just finished up a few of the bosses, and now we are up on to the story Hero of Calpheon. Just finished the Hero of Keplen. And we hit level 50, and now we have this nice little message that pops us, just giving us some information about various content that's in the game. So we have things like training, which deals with horses, trading, fishing, hunting. A lot of this is very much life skill associated outside of the monster zones for Calpheon and Serendia. There's also, of course, these little guides that you can click on, the level 50 and beyond. If you just click on this, it'll pull up the Adventurer's Guide, which can also be accessed by pressing the F2. And just giving you a little rundown from here for bonus information. But I'm going to be honest, the most important thing you can do is if you look right here in the lower left-hand corner, it says don't open for the day, click that, because that thing is very annoying. And that will make sure that it stops bothering you. But now that we've hit level 50, we're only 6 levels out from pursuing our Awakening and Succession quests, and for this playthrough that we're going to be doing, we'll be playing through on Succession, as Succession will be getting some buffs very shortly, or by the time this video is up, buffs may already be in effect, but we will just keep playing through with that for now. So, as it sits, this is our current gear, +9 on Archive, +7 on the Talisman, and the armor is all +5. We have some stones. We'll be doing some enhancing shortly to push the armor up even further, and hopefully get a little bit closer to our Tuvala gear. So with that said, we're going to keep pushing, and we'll be doing an update here shortly. Alright, so we're making some progress into the main story quest. We're now up to heading to Hex Sanctuary in, let's see here, Disappearance of Nella. So we finished up the first part with Catfishman, now we're moving into the witch stuff. So where we're at right now, we're in Calpheon City. We're actually in the church inside Calpheon, but the reason why this is significant is because we have this NPC right here, Elionian Priest Leona. If you speak with her, you will go ahead and just talk with her, and she offers what's known as church buffs. And these church buffs, as you see, last from 2 hours, and then for about 3 million silver, and then you also have ones that last for up to 5 hours for 10 million silver. And basically what these church buffs do is they provide you with basically added stats that will just give you an extra boost in any regards for what you're doing in terms of like either grinding or PvP or whatever. It's almost no reason to not have church buffs on you. When they last for up to 5 hours, you can easily grab them from any of the major cities, go grind for a couple hours or whatever it is you're going to do, and then come back, reapply them as you need them, especially with the prices that they have now. But this is just something that's worth noting whenever you're in a major city. You know, go talk to your local priest and get some free buffs before heading out. Alright, so we're currently up to fighting Hexmarie in the storyline. We're just doing a quick gear update and progression with what we've been doing so far. Mainly focusing on just doing the story quests, not really diverging from that path as much as possible to get the beginner Blackstones. Currently, this is what our gear is sitting at. So we've got Tet on our main hand weapon now, still +15 on the Talisman. Most of the armors are now up to Tri, with the helm still at Pry, and then we just penned our Naru armor. So what I'm going to do here at this stage is show you what to do when you actually do pen your Naru armor, and then you go into the next stage, which is the Tuvala armor, which is when you really start pushing towards the end of your seasonal gear progression. So to kind of explain how I've already achieved pen armor at level 52 on this new account, what happens is with these boxes here that we get, they give you fail stacks as you level up. Like these give +10s. And also, there is a way to add to your enhancement chance with Blackstones. I'll demonstrate that a bit more once we get some more stones to enhance, because our supply is now very low. But basically, what I'll do is take the +10s that the seasonal aids give and apply those to capping out on the Naru gear. There's really not a lot of value you have in +10 stacks when fail stacking, especially for fail stacking for boss gear and later end game items like your accessories that you'll build later on. So the most practical use for using the +10s that I find, especially for new accounts as well as playing on seasons, is to just use it to finish up and get through your Naru gear as fast as possible. Now, with that being said, once you have finished out your Naru gear, any other additional stacks you have left over from these, you can just work towards your Tuvala as well if you decide to use those. But you'll get other fail stacks from quests that we'll get from Fugar once we get to that point. But right now I'm just going to show you what happens once you have your armor up to pen, which is basically in this game's version of plus 20 you're capped out. So you'll have this little sword icon here that pops up, and it lets you know that you can now obtain Pride Tuvala gear. So what you can do is just simply click on that, and what you'll do is just right click this to unequip it, and then place it here, and it's just going to show you that it's going to convert the gear for free from Pen Naru to Pride Tuvala, and it'll get even stronger once it's converted. So you see here, looking at the item effect, you notice that whereas it's only just a monster damage reduction in plus 250 HP and 57 DP, once we go to Tuvala, we'll be getting 61 DP, so we'll get even more defense, but we'll also be getting 100 resource power, as well as the 200 HP. The set effects on Tuvala mimic that of boss gear, so what we'll do is we'll go ahead and hit convert, and it's just going to ask us, would you like to convert it? Which we'll say yes, we'll convert it. Another thing to note when doing this conversion, even if you don't have max durability on the Naru gear, when it converts to the Tuvala gear, it will have full durability. So from here, we can now equip it, and that puts us up to 168 DP, and we now have our first piece of Tuvala gear, which we can now start pushing to pen and having that done for the seasons. The goal right now is to primarily focus on the weapons and doing the armor as an aside to try and push our AP up, since we'll be doing a lot of grinding once we hit level 56. That'll be pretty much the goal from there. Once we're at 56, we'll do our Succession and Awakening quest line. We'll go ahead and pick Succession, and we'll start setting up our skill add-ons, and then from there focusing on grinding up to finish up our gear, and then doing whatever needs to be done to finish up our season pass here, because I believe the season pass will end with only requiring us to do some side quest lines here, like our ferry and the storage expansion. But as for the actual story missions, we can pretty much put those to a halt. However, I will talk about that later as to why it's worth your time to finish these story missions and the benefits of having them completed, especially when you make alts for seasons. So as of right now, the current goal is just play through as much of the story as we need to for the seasons, get all of our Naru gear up to pen, and then once we're at that threshold, we will actually pursue more active combat grinding and doing regional quests to start building up our resources to make pen Tuvala gear. So with that said, we'll go ahead and do the Hexmarie fight and then catch up afterwards. Alright, and with that, we will catch up later on and see where our progression is once we are finished up with Calpheon, and hopefully we won't have to waste too much time questing through Mediah. We can get straight to focusing more on the combat. Alright, so we are wrapping up Calpheon now. We just finished the Calpheon story, so we're going to sit here and just go over a few little things that have happened as we get closer to our Succession and Awakening quest lines and pushing the character to the next threshold for this account, as well as for anyone that's trying to follow along. So what we're going to first do is take a look at our gear. So right now we're currently sitting at 112 AP with 168 DP. We were able to successfully hit pen on our Naru Kive, so we went ahead and made that into Tuvala, which has given us a big boost. One thing that I did not mention last earlier in the video, which I should have mentioned, was I had a couple of accessories that dropped while we were doing quests in Calpheon. Once you get to the Catfishman region, and then you start moving down towards Rudums and then Treant Forest, if you click here, you will click on the icons that are actually shown up on the minimap. And what this is right here is this is the drop table UI. And what this UI shows is equipment, scrolls, items, miscellaneous things that drop from monsters in this region, as well as quests. And you can even see right here your knowledge ecology and titles that you can gain from this region. So as you can see right here, I have 8 of the 14 available knowledge for this region, which means there's 6 other pieces I could go back and get. The area, as you can see, has a recommended AP/DP, even though here it only reads on the level for this map. So what I was able to get at this area was a belt, the Treant Spirit Belt, which I have equipped. And over here at Catfishman, if we click on this, I was able to get a few of the earrings, the Treant Spirits Whispering earrings. So with that said, I was able to actually get the set bonus that it shows on these items, which is an additional all damage reduction. Now, there are other accessories that you could grind for, which we will find either in the Treant Forest area, or it will be here with the Mansion Forest. Yeah, the Mansion Forest can give you the Treant Spirits Echoes, which is 5 AP for each one. And the benefit of getting these accessories is that they are stronger than your Naru gear at Tri, or roughly about similar, but you can get a belt, 2 earrings, 2 rings, and get a full 5 set bonus, which will give you 100 LT, which is your weight here for your character. But also, they're fairly easy to get. They don't take long. I think I spent in total 30 minutes at those areas just doing those quests and was able to get 3 earrings. So that has given us a significant boost in our attack power, and we have actually gotten our first AP bracket. So with our current gear progression, what we're going to do now is we've opened up the level 53 box, which has given us some more items to help us enhance. We got some more plus 10 stacks, as well as some beginner black stones and beginner armor stones. So we'll be looking to push the armors here up to pen, and then pushing our talisman up to pen as well to try and get that to Tuvala. So that's going to be the current goal going forward, as well as completing a few more quests. We may be pushing forward with the Mediah storyline. We're still kind of on the fence about that because the leveling box apparently doesn't need us to push for the Mediah quest line. So what we can do at this point is kind of take a break from questing and focus more on the combat-oriented side of gameplay. Especially with our current gear, we could actually start hitting some of the entry-level zones in the desert, which would be places like Bashams. So a couple things to go over is once you finish the Valencia quest, you will be here in Calpheon City, and you'll just want to get a quest that comes from, I believe you will talk with this NPC right here, Enrique, and basically when you finish up the quest line, he'll have an additional request for you to get this pet right here, the Callus Delphi, which will basically give us our 3rd pet. So with 3 pets, that will give us 3 of the 5 that we're able to have for our pet list, and we'll also be speaking with our Black Spirit, who will give us a quest for an outfit box that we've already accepted. So he'll just ask us to claim it here. So it really doesn't matter which one you get, but it tells you down at the bottom, you have the Dobart, Terratos, or the Hercules armor. So we'll just select the Hercules. And we'll have more quests here that he gives. This one, Black Spirits, gives tier 5 horse. So this will just give us a tier 5, which we already have one from earlier in the the Balanos quest line, and it gave us a saddle. A basic saddle with it. This will give us an upgraded saddle that we can get, but we'll want to go ahead and grab the seasonal quest. This grants us more skill points. So talking with him. So he'll give us that, and we'll go ahead and claim all of these. And then we also have this little quest right here for a tutorial. So by now we have a couple of quests that we have going forward, and we also have some recurring quests, as well as some event quests that we can do to kind of help us push a little forward. Just one thing to note regarding recurring quests, these quests that you get, you see how they have one with D marked here and then one with W. This basically just lets you know these are 1 a day, these are 1 a week. And what these quests are for, if you go ahead and select them, as you can see, they give us either an Awakened Summon piece or a piece of a regular scroll for a boss, and these are basically ways to get boss scrolls. And the reason why you'll want to start collecting them once you have them available. So we will start collecting those quests soon to start building up our pieces for bosses. We're going to go ahead and collect the awakened pieces. That way we can do the awakened bosses. And the reason why we're going to do them is once we have full pen Tuvala gear and we finish up our seasons, we have to start collecting latent auras from the bosses. And the latent auras are going to help us with penning our gear and pushing us to that end game threshold as we get to the higher areas. But as of right now, the focus is going to be moving out from Calpheon. We're basically going to be heading east from here. We're going to run through Mediah, and then we're going to come up to Basham's out here in the desert. This is actually before the desert itself. The desert actually starts right about here. It's a little tough to see, but the gateway is right here. This is where Sandgrain Bazaar sits, and then we have the whole desert out here. But what we'll be able to do is, for example, if you look at this area, click it, there are region quests here that we can do, and we can actually start doing these region quests and getting seasonal gear for, or correction, we can get enhancement material for our seasonal gear. And albeit the DP is, it says a little low right here in red, but with Basham's and our current AP, it's not going to be an issue. Plus, with playing a ranged class, it's very easy for us to just go ahead and pick them off very quickly. So, with that said, we will go ahead and wrap up the Calpheon saga, and the next part will start with pushing up to 56 and getting our Succession and Awakening. So, I will say, just to close this video out, I appreciate your all's time for watching this. Again, like all the others, if you have any questions, concerns, or tips to help with this guide going forward, since we're now to the point where we can actually focus more solely on the combat perspective of the game, we will do that. And I'll also be giving out some tips and tricks playing Sage as we move forward. We're going to be focusing on playing Succession, like I've said earlier, and that's because with today we recently got buffs to the Succession specialization as well as the Awakening, but we're going to just focus mainly on Succession going forward. But with that said, again, I appreciate it, and I will see you all in the next video.